So why do I call myself Turtle Dove? Well, I often tell people I have a clan name and a Christian name. As far as how it's out, you know, fast. I once spent some time in another part of this land than I currently live in. A part that wasn't wooded, but more desert, right? And in this time, I experienced some things I could not describe. Now, I have lived in many places. I've lived in the Mojave Desert, and I have lived in the woodlands. And during my time in the desert, there was once a time when something happened to me that I could not explain. I had an unexplainable accident, I suppose. I was driving the same vehicle I use today, and the front axle snapped in half in the middle of the road with no foreseeable collision. Now, the road was uneven and full of potholes, and that's ultimately what was determined was the cause of the problem. But that is not what Officer Beaver and the native man who accompanied him said when they saw what happened to me and helped me pull the vehicle off the road. They said it could only be divine. And I agree, because I am a spiritist, and I believe in my ancestors, and that their ghosts walk among us still. And I am a Christian, as my ancestors have been for many generations. And so these truths are not incompatible. And in any case, during that time, I was forced to stay in that region for a long time. Not by man, but by the circumstance. And during that time, I encountered another man who was known to me as Garrick Bitterwater, or Torracini. And obviously I've known many people in that land, but this man had helped me several times. And I had helped him in some ways. And we didn't always get along. Sometimes we had great debate, great disagreement. But usually at the aftermath of that disagreement, on most days, we would end up sharing ceremony and smoking together, as we often do when our disagreements have been set aside. In any case, one topic that had arisen during we were at the bar, which we were both employed at that time, and the question came up about where people are from, what's their background, what's their ethnicity, and those things. And he's a Navajo man. I'm a Chickasaw man. And he scolded me a little bit for saying, why do you not come out and be that, you know? And that is true. And that was something I took to heart. And my explanation was that I'm only, in part. And he's saying, well, there's no such thing unless you'd like to be ripped apart and buried in 8 different lands, right? I agree with that. I agree with that. There are no half-blood, part blood, or anything. So then the question arises, if you are that, then what's your clan? How come you don't go by your clan names? Well, I had to make that decision to wear that name. It's no disrespect to my Christian name, but I had to wear that name. That's how it must be. Now, I had been cordially invited to the nation, but considering the circumstances of our last visit, I do not feel it appropriate to visit without some kind of gift, considering the circumstances of our last meeting. But yes, I was told that there are hundreds of bitter waters, just there are hundreds of people by other names, by other clans. And if you are going to interact with people, then you must know who you are and you must represent it correctly. If you're to enter a lodge, they're going to ask you what's your first name and what's your clan. So these are things that a man must know. And if you care